Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today on the Divine Messages podcast. My name is Karina, and I'm a psychic medium out of Calgary, Alberta. Today's episode is about toxic behaviors that are hurting your soul. Each and every single one of us struggle with toxic behaviors that hurt our souls. Some of us are aware of them, and others are not. I wanted to do this episode so that it could maybe help to recognize what behaviors are creating havoc in your life. I'm pretty good at catching myself when I feel I'm getting caught in that web of negativity. And the reason I know how to catch myself is that I notice when I start to feel just plain icky. My energy starts to shift and I may start to feel sad or anxious, depressed, and basically just not good at all. And when I feel myself starting to go down that path, I stop and check myself. Now, let's look at some of those behaviors that are not serving us and see if any of them resonate with you. I made a list of 10 things that I think are the most important that are actually hurting you. So here's number 1, playing the victim. Yes, life may have dealt you a terrible hand, and you may have experienced some awful things in your past. But right there is the issue. It's part of the past. You can never go back and change it. I know in my younger years, I played a very good victim role. I was always feeling sorry for myself from not only life experiences, but from the choices that I made in my past. I always thought that I had it the worst over everyone else. I was so caught up in self-pity that I couldn't recognize that others had difficult times too. So what I have done and still do when I feel myself starting to feel self-pity again is to sit quietly and remember that my past does not define me. I remind myself to live in the present moment, and then I start to dream about wonderful new experiences for my future. Number 2, a sense of entitlement. That's when you expect to go through life believing that you are owed something, and if you believe that, you will never get ahead. For me personally, I know for many years I felt as if my family owed me, and let me explain why. So my parents were really quite well off, and during my teenage years I worked for the family business. I was told that I didn't need to worry about going to college, as I would either be able to have a part in the business or money to start my own someday. I was promised money for my wedding as a down payment for my first home, but none of that ever happened. My husband and I worked hard to do it on our own. But the one thing that did happen, though, was that we were able to live with my parents for a couple of years for very cheap rent so that we could save up for our own place. And honestly, for that, I'm really grateful to this day even. But for years, I wasted so much time and energy focusing on what was promised to me. I couldn't get over that feeling of entitlement. And I know that was wrong. I really do. I know that it wasn't okay. And only when we bought our first home did I start to understand that I needed to find my own way, and I did. And so how I've worked through that feeling of entitlement is that I know that I must work hard and use the law of attraction to help me achieve what I would like in life. Number 3, gossiping. Look, everybody does this. It's part of human nature. The problem with gossiping is if it's coming from a malicious place. Think of how awful you feel after talking about someone in a negative way. I know I do. Ask yourself what it is about that person that triggers you to feel the need to speak of them in a negative way. Can you learn to look past their seeming errors and mistakes? For me, I know that I sit back and ask myself to try to see the other person's point of view and why they made certain choices. And I try to work through forgiving them, but also forgiving myself for speaking of them in a negative way. Not one of us is perfect at all, but just try to keep mindful of how you speak about others, as in the long run, it only hurts you. Number 4, worrying about future events that haven't happened yet. What a complete waste of time and energy to worry about what could go wrong in the future. And somehow we anticipate the worst happening. We end up letting our minds run wild with all the worst case scenarios, and then we become so fearful that we sometimes end up attracting what we don't want. I try my best to stay in the present moment as best as I can, but I'm just as guilty to worry about the future sometimes. So when I start to have fearful thoughts about what I can't control, I try to change them into manifesting the best possible outcome. And I try to always dream big. If negative worries start to overtake my mind, I will literally say, either out loud or in my head, cancel, clear, and delete that thought to stop it right in its tracks. And then I replace it with some positive affirmations such as, I'm excited for the wonderful blessings to come. And really, this does help. Number 5, jealousy. In this day and age, social media is a real trigger for people. Too many people get caught up in comparison. They see the beautiful model type of girl and then they start to analyze their own being. They see people with fancy houses, cars, clothes, and things and become envious. They start to feel like their lives aren't so great, and instead of trying to achieve their own level of success, they become ridden with jealousy for others. They start to experience low self-esteem because they feel the beauty they see doesn't compare to their own. What's important with this one is that we recognize that we each have something that is unique and beautiful about us. We also have something that another may wish that they had. The key is to be grateful for who you are and what you do have. You are enough and wonderful just the way you are. Wish others well and create your own happiness. Number 6, reliving your past. Some people have a difficult time moving on from their past. They keep replaying the movie over and over in their minds. They may have a hard time remembering that the past is over and you can't go back in time and change any of it. I have experienced family who have literally started fights over things that happened over 30 years ago. They refuse to forgive and let go. How can anyone move forward and be happy if they keep opening up a chapter of a book that they have already read multiple times? I get it, those experiences hurt, and I hurt too from my past. But for me, I choose to take the lesson from it. For the times when I was deeply hurt by people, I've chosen to pour love into everyone now that I surround myself with, and of course my family. If anything, those hurtful past memories have taught me to love harder than the love that I didn't receive. The past is over and gone. The future hasn't arrived yet. All we have is the present moment. So just for today, make it count. Number 7, negative self-talk. Think about this one. How many times a day do you catch yourself saying negative things to your soul, to your body, to your mind? When you're getting ready in the morning, and as you're in front of your mirror, you have at least a few critical thoughts about your body, etc. So these could be like, oh, I look tired and old today. My legs look fat in these pants. My stomach looks bloated. I'm having a bad hair day, and on and on and on. So you've basically just started your day in a low vibration, and in turn may attract negative experiences to yourself. When I have a day where I'm being down on myself, and that used to happen frequently and almost daily, I now stop those thoughts right in its tracks. I say cancel, clear, and delete it, and I replace it with something that I do love about myself. So if you try even with something small like, I love my hair today, and I feel beautiful today. I love my body. I feel happy and confident. Those little positive vibrations really do help to raise your vibration. And in turn, you have a much better day because you start attracting good things to you. Number 8, holding on to anger and resentment. So there's that saying, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It really is true. The only one that ends up hurting, though, is you. So why waste any time or energy on someone who probably isn't giving you a second thought? As hard as it may be, forgive them anyways. Not for them, but for you, so that your soul can be free of that negative connection. What's really helped me when I've been angry or upset with someone is to say that Hawaiian prayer of forgiveness. It's just 4 simple lines, but it works so well if you do it from the heart. And those simple lines are, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. Yes, I know that's hard to understand, And people always say, how can I say, those lines to someone that actually hurt me? But it really does help you to release that karmic, energetic cord that you have attached to the other person. Number 9, complaining constantly. Think about that friend or coworker or family member that always has something to complain about. They seem to say that nothing ever goes their way. And after you've spent time with them, you're completely drained. Or is it you that is constantly complaining about life and everything in general? Do you feel and complain that you have bad luck and that nothing ever goes your way? This major one could be the very thing that is holding you back from manifesting good things in your life. And maybe you're not even aware of how often you're complaining. Try to be very mindful of your thoughts, because our thoughts really do create our reality. Try turning those thoughts into something that you're happy about, or something that you're really truly grateful for, and the universe will give you more to be thankful for. Yes, we really all do have bad days and bitch about things from time to time. I always say, if you have to, have your moment, freak out, be pissed off, be angry, get it off your chest, but don't stay there. Move past it and try your best to turn it around. Number 10, taking everything personally. Yes, some comments and unkind acts may be directed at us, but sometimes we take it to heart and can't shake it. Know this: hurt people hurt others. And perhaps you truly didn't do anything to warrant this behavior, but you let it eat you up, and you end up feeling as if you've done something wrong. I've learned over the years working as a healer that when someone is struggling or hurting, they may take it out on others, whether that be on a friend, a loved one, or even a stranger. If you feel in your heart that you didn't do anything wrong, let it go. You never know what someone else is going through. Now, that doesn't mean allowing people to treat you badly, because that doesn't warrant that either. It just means that don't let someone else's negative energy rob you of your peace. So I hope today helps with understanding what toxic behaviors are hurting your soul. Maybe you're even aware of all of them, and this is just a reminder to be more mindful of your thoughts so that you can start to attract good things in your life. So I want to thank you all so much for joining me on the Divine Messages podcast today. Please bear in mind that the perspectives and opinions are based solely on the Divine Messages interpretations. We can in no way be held responsible for the actions of our followers.